Don't get carried away. Don't get carried away. This is Hearts Standard. This is Hearts Standard. I'm Craig Cairns. That's Joel Sked. We've just watched Hearts win their first match at Ibrox in 11 years, 13 years if you go back for their last top flight win at this venue. God, I was only 29 all the way back then. Double from Lawrence Shankland. Amazing celebrations, both goals, and at the end, Joe, what were your thoughts on that game?
I need to take a moment to
Joel's lost his voice, he was shouting too much.
To relish in. It's the fact that I've seen us win, 5-6 times at Celtic Park. I've never seen us win at Ibrox, so yes, very, very much enjoyable. Couldn't really take it in when the full-time whistle, just because I was too busy batting away writing wise. But in terms of the performance, I just thought, aside from a couple of moments in the first half, well, a moment in the first half and a wee period in the second half, I thought it was just a really confident, controlled, comfortable victory. And you usually, when you come to the Old Firm, and to get a result, you usually need to suffer at some point. You need to either hang on to begin with, so you're either hanging on to begin with or hanging on at the end. And it was the complete opposite. Hearts started the game stronger, created some really good chances. Craig Halkett's header, Lawrence Shankland had an opening as well, and then you're thinking, it's just when McInnes changed to a back five, you're like, right, this is just going to be shot for the last kind of 15 minutes or so. But Harry Milne moved from right wing to left wing back, wins a penalty, and all the nerves, all the tension, all the uneasiness, all the uncertainty went out the window when Lawrence Shankland followed up, because the atmosphere we experienced today was like a few games of experience at Tynecastle, but on steroids. On steroids, it was ridiculous. So as soon as we went 2-0, that was it, and it was just such a lovely afternoon in Glasgow. And you don't often say that as a football fan.
As a Hearts fan. You're right. I think there was a period where, like you say, after the second half, there was a period where, if there was a period that Hearts suffered, it was then. There was the disallowed goal. I turned to you at that point and said, this is Hearts' day. But it was actually just before that where I'd first got that feeling. I can't remember if it was the same action. I think it might have been when Gassam hits the post and then Kingsley turned it behind for a corner. It might have been two different, but there was a point when Kingsley turned it behind for a corner and it was a close call, and I was thinking, things are just falling into place for Hearts now. Because first half, we'll jump back now, first half was all Hearts. Rangers weren't in. Other than that speculative shot towards the end of the half, it was all Hearts.
No, and just when you said, when it was, sorry to jump back to your previous point, but just when you said it was kind of meant to be, you felt that was meant to be, and what you said to me was that when you actually break it down, like Lawrence Shankland, he was worried, he spoke about it, he was worried that he was going to get pulled up for VAR because he handballed it the ball hit his hand in the build up to his opening goal. Sorry, that's up an eye.
So we suspect it's a second phase of play. They did change that law. Don't think it was the start of last season, maybe the start of the season before, whereas before it was if you handled the ball in any point in the build-up, it was chalked off. But now they've done it so that if it's a different phase of play, so we're guessing that it's a different phase of play. Haven't seen it back.
Yes, so I need to see it back to see it. So we got that, and then on Friday when we were doing the video, loads of folk coming in talking about the refereeing performance. Performance when you come into Ibrox, and then win a penalty right towards the end to make it more comfortable. So yeah, it was meant to be our day, because it was one of those where at half time I was thinking, if Hearts can't beat this Rangers side, then there's no hope. But the first half, go back to your first half, was in the grass game, the only criticism, not criticism, but the only maybe slight frustration was the fact that Hearts probably didn't get that second goal to make it more comfortable going into the break, but thoroughly deserved. Even though Rangers had more possession, Hearts had much better control of the game in and out of possession.
Team selection raised a few eyebrows. Yes. We took a risk in looking very, very stupid. We put the lineup graphic out and people were saying, well, surely you guys are baked, and it's Harry Milne that's on left wing back. Stephen Kingsley will be tucking in, and I don't know, maybe Kizaridis will be on the other side of a front three or something.
So the way that worked was like, just because you're looking at it, I didn't think it was going to be a back. I didn't think it was going to be a back three with Kingsley, and I don't think he would have played Kingsley, Finlay, and
maybe Steinbender.
If it was Steinbender in, I thought that would have been a back three. So then you're thinking, right, if it's going to be a 4-4-2, then Milne surely just plays as his left wing. But it's just kind of like trying to second guess McInnes, and you're thinking, right, maybe Gassama is the reason that he's going to protect him against McEntee, even though that didn't happen. But also, we've talked about it before, McInnes likes to play his wide men inverted, and that's he's done it at Aberdeen, he's done it at Kilmarnock. So then you're thinking, wonder if it's going to be Kizaridis on his more natural side on the left, and then Milne on the right, protecting McEntee. And McInnes talked about McEntee as a right back being better when there's someone in front of him, and that's how it all kind of came about. And despite potentially looking stupid, actually we actually called it right for once when the lineup got announced.
And McEntee actually had a really good first half. I mean, as did Milne. It was interesting what McInnes said afterwards, because we had speculated, or more accurately, you had speculated that Milne's position was to track Gassam. But it turned out what McInnes said afterwards was just, regardless of who was playing there, from what they've seen from heat maps and things like that, Rangers like to attack down the left, and a lot of that was Magoma, and he was following Magoma a lot. Turned into a bit of a back three when Hearts were out of possession a bit, and Milne's a bit more of a right wing back. But I mean, it worked. It not only worked in a defensive sense, where Hearts barely had anything to, the goalkeeper barely had anything to do in the first half. In an attacking sense, it worked really well. What happened was, and again, without watching it back, Hearts seemed to flood the central areas, and they were looking to move quickly. I think it was when the likes of Diamonde and Barron were getting the ball, and they were snapping in. It was sometimes impact, and then they were breaking quickly. Yeah,
absolutely, and because that was another kind of worry, was Benny and Devlin and two against three. But you mentioned that Shankland kind of dropped in as a number 10, dropped in on Barron, so it gives you that extra body. And Barron is a number 6. I think he's a number 8. I don't think he can cope with being a number 6 for Rangers. And it did, now that you say it, he got pressed a lot, and it almost felt like he was, I don't know, maybe pinpointed as a weak link. And I
think Diamonde and Asgard were being man-marked. I think it might have been a bit more close him down at certain points.
And just wait until he gets into certain areas and force him back. And I just thought everything, that first half performance was just, I was just like so assured. And I think there was times where when we did get the ball, and especially like Kizaridis and Braga, so good at taking you up the park.
Yeah.
But with like Kizaridis, he got into really good positions, and you said it a couple of times, just tried to do too much. Just tried to do much.
It's like he did the bit where it's like, now find the pass. Like, okay, you've just absolutely rinsed somebody. Now find the pass. Don't try and go past somebody else.
So there was just one or two moments where that final pass didn't work, and Rangers were completely open. But I just felt like any time that Rangers had the ball, Hearts were so comfortable, so well organised, so well structured, and it came. You know what it felt like? It felt like a reversal last season when teams came to Tynecastle and Hearts just had the ball, and you're kind of like, I'm not sure the team knows how to break the opposition down, and just felt they were so comfortable. It was the flip of that, but the big thing, and McInnes mentioned it, Hearts had such a counter-attacking threat, and the strike partnership was just so good.
That's exactly where I was going to go next, just before saying the boos when it was going back to the goalkeeper. It was all very, very familiar. The front two, we're obviously going to speak about Shankland in a minute, but let's speak about Braga first, because he was the liveliest at the start of the game. Won a foul on either side for a dangerous set piece, won another one through the middle, and it was a 4-2-3-1 with him sort of running into gaps, running channels. It wasn't like he didn't have a fixed position, he was kind of quite free. Yeah,
absolutely, and it's because I found Shankland's comments in the build-up really interesting and really honest. It was like, it's still a work in progress, they're still getting familiar with each other, but it just felt like this was the perfect balance we saw between the two of them. And you've seen that with the goal where Braga ran, and it felt like he's seen that so many times. He ran after the ball and he was up against Suter, and he got to the ball quickly before Suter, and then Shankland made a supporting run. It just worked so well with these expert finishing. I thought Braga was the best player on the pitch in the first half. Just his willingness to take the ball in, turn and run at Rangers. Also, when the ball went long, thought he actually did really well, despite not being a physically imposing guy, to get use his body to win and link play. He was knocking it down with his chest or his head, or he was bringing it to his feet and turning, and just takes Hearts up the pitch. And without that, it's such a hard place to come at Celtic and Rangers when you don't have someone who can carry the ball forward, and that's what Hearts missed a lot last season. But Braga really adds to it, and he's just getting just better and better. And you're just wondering, have you been playing third tier football in Portugal and Norway? It's mental.
We spoke about it in an interview this week, just yesterday, didn't he, where he was talking about it's basically the competition in Portugal's mental, so he had to go to Norway to basically get a career for himself. Lawrence Shankland, his performance was described as a masterclass afterwards by Derek McInnes, and something else he said in the build-up to the game was quite interesting, that he's a little bit behind some of the others when it comes to joined later with pre-season and that kind of thing, so he's maybe not quite as up to speed as the others. But I think the main thing is that Shankland's scoring goals, but he's not been exactly prolific yet. Well, he's doing well, but there's a few weeks there where he's not scoring, and people are starting to ask questions again. But it doesn't become as much of an issue because other people score goals now. No, absolutely not. And it's like the reverse, because he's not been scoring goals, so there's a different kind of focus on him. Last season the focus on him was because they were so reliant on him. Now the focus is on because there's such competition at the club. You're thinking, is he worthy of a place in starting 11? He is worthy of a place in the starting 11. It'll take a ridiculous run of form for Shankland to play his way out of the Hearts starting 11. Why? Because of today, because of what he can do. He's a proper captain's performance. Even when he's not scoring goals, he is doing stuff for the team and leading the team, linking play, being a creative force. He is. People talk about being whether he's not mobile or being lazy. It's like, ask anyone at Hearts. He covers as much or as more ground than any of his teammates. So he does an absolute power of work. And when Braga teed him up, there's no one else you want in that position to open the scoring than Lawrence Shankland. It was a brilliant finish, and then his penalty didn't quite catch it right, but that alertness to get there and to tuck away for the second. So I think people need to stop worrying or stressing about Lawrence Shankland. Lawrence Shankland's going to be fine. He's going to score goals. He's going to be a really crucial aspect of this team. There's a reason why McInnes fought for him to stay, and it was kind of backed up today. He's on to 6 goals now. I think Braga 6 goals as well. So Braga. You've got 2 guys as a strike partnership who are only going to get better, who can score and create themselves, and then you've still got Kabore to come in, and Cabangu. It's interesting that McInnes said that Cabangu was brilliant when he came on. You mentioned the impact the subs had, and then that's even before you get to someone like Wilson. So there's great competition, but the fact that you've got 2 strikers who are getting better, scoring goals, creating goals, it's class. Keeper? Aye, well, he didn't have a huge amount to do. I just want to say quickly, I was just going to say quickly, Halkett headed everything away. Devlin was his busy nuisance self again. I thought they deserved mentions. But the goalkeeper.
I'll tee up, because when we were talking about it, because that was always going to be one of the instant analysis, because he made his debut at Ibrox, not the first goalkeeper to make his debut at Ibrox, but after 20-25 minutes, you kind of joked to his side, at this rate, all it needs to be is a one line. We don't know what he was like because he wasn't even tested.
We were almost there. But what we did before that first save that he made in 43 minutes or whatever it was, before that we'd seen a bit of his kick in. We saw that in the second half as well. I think there was a couple that went astray. There was one that went out the pitch, but generally his kicking was good, and it felt like an upgrade on what we'd had before. I'm trying not to be nasty.
Yeah. I mean, it was. I think you said decent or competent or reliable, and that is an upgrade on what we've seen over the last couple of years for all, like Craig Ord, genuine, incredible goalkeeper. But if there's one aspect of his game that's not strong, is not as strong as that as kicking. So he felt like a really reassuring presence at the back line. There was only probably one iffy moment, but it was a foul. I need to see it again, the VAR. There was one where some people might, there was a kind of cross, but he punched it out. Yeah. However, I think he saw it late, maybe. Like where it came from. Is that what it was? I think it was. I knew it was a circumstance rather than him making
like deciding to punch it rather when a catch was on. I don't think he did that there. It looked like the circumstances meant that a punch was what was needed.
Putting my goalkeeping gloves on, it did feel like when watching it was like there was a lot of spin on that ball, but his saves are solid. So I think just looking at him, just going off that 90 minutes, I think he's going to be a reliable, dependable goalkeeper.
Where does this leave Hearts? Joe, we have to wait 2 weeks again for another game. I bet you there's no breaks when Hearts aren't doing well. I mean, that's Hearts top of the league again, at least for 24 hours. It's a huge result. Not only does it end an unwanted run, it's a statement in the context of this season and of what Derek McInnes is doing. I was joking earlier about not getting carried away. Hearts fans will be getting carried away celebrating tonight. That's within their right. But really, where does this leave Hearts?
I think it leaves Hearts in a brilliant position, and it's all Hearts can do. All we can do is just keep winning games, and you look at it already. It's like get points on the board early on, and I think that I don't think there's been any luck to the results. The team have scored goals. They've conceded goals because they've conceded soft goals. They've had kind of goalkeeping issue. Still, I think we're seeing improvement week on week, still integrating new players. I think the squad is good. The fact he came here, you're worried about not having the record transfer. I think he's going to elevate the team further. Like Jota and Kabori, I think will be really good presence off the bench as the weeks go by. So there's so much to like about this Hearts team. Falkirk at home, you're just thinking that is a great opportunity to pick up another victory going into the derby, which is absolutely mouthwatering. Tynecastle in a few weeks' time, and I think you've got the perfect manager for derbies. But you look at looking at the table now. So 9 points ahead of Rangers, 12 points ahead of Aberdeen. As things stand, Hibs are losing 3-2 to Dundee United. So you've got 8 points ahead of Hibs, and you're just putting pressure on Celtic. And are Hearts going to win the league? I don't know, but it's or are Hearts going to?
I'll say no.
Hearts are going to challenge them. The only thing we can do at the moment is just put pressure on Celtic. Celtic's, you don't know what's going to happen with them, if they're going to settle and kind of turn a corner. But there's a malaise there. There's protests. So no, Celtic and Rangers are not in a great shape at the moment at all. Hearts are in a position that they to take advantage of it. I will be one of those getting carried away, and just just ride the wave, of optimism, ride the wave of optimism, and then just deal with the consequences when things don't go so good.
And that's it. That's what we've got to do. We need to ride the wave. We need to just enjoy this roller coaster.
It's important that you are the logical head in here.
I just fear that this season, with looking like Rangers and Celtic maybe not in tip-top condition, I fear it's come a little too early. But hopefully there's more. Hopefully there's more to come further down the line.
Yeah, I think it's one of those where ideally you might have been 18 months or 24 months further ahead in the project of Tony Bloom and having integrated so much, but. It's exciting, and that's compared to the last season. That's all we want. Here, smiling and laughing and enjoying ourselves, enjoying our football is a hell of a lot better than being a couple of miserable pair of duds. I
hadn't reported on a win yet by this point last season, and just after starting a new job. That is it from us. Please check everything out at heartstandard.co.uk. I've put a link or two in the description below. Give us a wee subscribe if you can, and we will be back at some point next week.
Oh, party hats.
We will be back at some point next week with party hats.